We're here with Darrell Bock, who's Senior Research Professor in New Testament Studies at Dallas Theological Seminary and Executive Director of Cultural Engagement at the Hendrick Center. And we're going to have a short talk today about goEast. And Darrell, I wonder if you could just start with us and talk about your involvement in Asia. How often have you been there, different kind of places?
I've been in Asia on and off since the middle 1990s. I've been to Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong. I mean, it's pretty extensive in terms of the amount of time I've spent over here in India, and have seen the variety of things that go on in Asia. In ministry, particularly teaching ministry, without formal education, it produces a tremendous pressure on the church in terms of the quality of its teaching. And the problem is that even if you had all the educational institutions in this region and even around the globe working at full speed, they couldn't keep up. So the idea of having a ministry that goes to where people are and enables them to be better equipped and to raise their own standard is an important possibility for ministry and for enhancing ministry, teaching ministry in Asia.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I've observed is the importance of the pastor in the pulpit, mm-hmm. the importance of preaching, and the fact that not everybody is able to read. And so, which means that the only access that they really have to a Bible, unless they listen to it online, is in the pulpit in the church on Sunday morning, which really has highlighted to me the importance of theological education. Some pastors will only have, for example, a Bible in their library.
That's right. And so the whole issue of encouraging someone to kind of self-theologically educate themselves is difficult, not just from the standpoint of the people listening to the message, but from the standpoint of the responsibility on the person bringing the biblical content. You want them to bring biblical content as responsibly as possible if they don't have people in the audience who can help them think through what they're bringing. So having a ministry that comes alongside and that encourages and develops the people doing the preaching, gets them thinking about how they're doing it and why they're doing it and what they should be doing, obviously not just performs a role for the pastor, it performs a terrific role for the congregants who are so dependent on the pastor for what he's teaching.
Now there are two ways to get that theological education. One is to go outside your country, go into another context, to come to the West, for example, or to even further east, but outside your country. The other is to do it within your own context. Do you have any comments on that?
Well, that question actually is a reflection of the earlier observation. If you're dealing with congregants who aren't well educated and don't have much, maneuverability in terms of what their possibilities are for education, and usually the pastor is oftentimes a bivocational figure. He's working a job as well as doing his pastorate. That's how he earns his money. That's how he takes care of his family. The freedom that he has for the one choice to pick up and go elsewhere is actually quite limited. So the only way you're actually going to reach many of the people we're talking about is to go where they are and to minister to them in their context.
Okay. And so this is where a ministry like goEast comes in, where we go into someone else's context and teach, maybe a short-term intensive. You want to comment on a little bit more, perhaps specifically on the value of something like goEast?
Well, I'm in the process of actually getting ready to chair a meeting in the next couple of months in which people who do a lot of what's called non-formal educating are talking to people doing formal educating, to asking the question, how can formal educators be of more help to the non-formal people? Because non-formal education is becoming more widespread, more necessary, and more significant. And so the short answer to the question is, this need is becoming so pervasive and so significant that there is really for the first time in a long time, some really serious conversations happening about how these two kinds of education can get in better touch with one another to help the larger needs of the church. So goEast is stepping right into a gap that needs filling in a particular part of the world. And for that reason, it has a very, very valuable role to play in helping to bring up the quality of what happens in churches in this part of the world.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your time.